Hello guys, welcome to Career Compass. This is Deepan Ghatalia, your tutor for ACCA UK Tax and SPL paper. Let's start with the new chapter, which is the Corporation Tax Income and Gains. Here students, we will going to learn how to calculate the different types of the taxable income for the companies. Let's start with the first one, which is the trading profit. As learned in the sole trader students, trading profit must be adjusted for the tax purpose. Obviously, your P&L profit cannot be acceptable under the HMRC rules, and so that's why we will going to make all the kinds of the adjustment, and then after we also going to deduct the capital allowance. The same way, the company's trading profit will be calculated, students, just like we were doing in the income tax. But for the company students, there is one simple rule, is that there is no option available to apply the cash basis of accounting. That means only and only accrual basis is there. Then after, if we talk about students other key differences, students, then the first key difference is that the companies are not required to make any kind of the private use adjustments, neither in the whole tax adjusted trading profit calculation and nor in the calculation of capital allowance. Totally all the kinds of the private use will be ignored. Then after, students, if you are having any interest income or expenditure, students, then you have to check whether it's related to trade or not. If it is related to your trading, then you can consider those interest under your trading profit. But if it is not related to trade, that means if it's a non-trading interest, then it will not be considered under the trading profit calculation. It will directly go into your corporation tax computation pro forma as in your interest income and everything. Okay. Then after, the dividend payment is not an allowable expenditure. You cannot claim the deduction for any kind of the dividend payment, dividend expenditure. It will be disallowed. Then after, students, let's see the difference in the capital allowance rules. Now basically all the kinds of the capital allowance are almost the same. There is only and only one difference for the companies. The AIA limit is split between the related companies. That means if the company is having the parents and subsidiary relationship, then the whole group or a whole parent and subsidiaries group will have one common AIA. We can say that all those parents and subsidiaries companies cannot have their separate AIA, but in combinedly, the whole group will going to get a single 1 million AIA limit. Now, how this 1 million AIA will be allocated to all the parent and subsidiaries companies, that is their own decision, students. HMRC will not give any kind of the rules regarding that. Companies can decide how to allocate the AIA according to their choices. Then after, students, the next concept is students, the interest income or expenditures. The interest, as I told you, students, that the simple rule regarding the interest is that we have to keep our interest income and expenditures separately according to whether it's related to trade or whether it's not related to trade. Okay, so that's why we have to prepare two separate pro forma. You can see on the screen that first of all, we have to prepare a pro forma for trading related interest income and trading related interest expenditures. Now you can see that we are netting off trading related interest incomes and expenditure, and we are calculating surplus and deficit. If you are having a surplus, it will go to your credit side of P&L because it's related to trading. So that's why obviously it will go to your P&L, or if you can say it will go to your trading profit. So it will be added to your trading profit, and if it's having a deficit, then it will be deducted from your profit. We can say it will be debited to P&L. Okay, but only and only if it's related to your trade. Then after, students, you can see another pro forma which is separately made for a non-trade interest income and non-trade interest expenditures. So once again, you have to net off and you have to see whether you are getting surplus or the deficit. Now let's say if suppose you are having the non-trade interest surplus, then that particular non-trade interest surplus, the positive figure will go to your corporation tax computation under the head of the interest income in the pro forma. But if you are having deficit, students, then that is a kind of your loss, and that loss will have their separate rules, will have their separate options to set off that loss. Generally, what kind of the options we usually have while we set off our losses? The same kind of the options we will have over here also, students. You can see on the screen the deficit from the non-trade interest will have first of all first option as in your current year option, then after the carry back option is there, then after the third option is the carry forward option is there, and the fourth option is the group relief. students, the one thing that you have to remember in the interest is that, students, sometimes the company receives interest from HMRC. Now that interest from the HMRC will become taxable, and if interest is paid to HMRC will be allowed as an allowable expenditure. It's related to your trade. Now the important part is coming up now, that now whatever rule you can see over here, student, that interest income will be taxable and interest expenditures will be allowable expenditures, while the totally opposite rule or totally opposite treatment we have learned while we were learning the individual taxation. Individual taxation was all the time ignoring any kind of the interest related to HMRC, or any kind of the interest paid or interest received from the HMRC was ignored. Okay, so you have to remember, you have to mug up these particular transaction, and you have to have in mind that if any kind of the interest is there, how you will going to treat if it's an individual person, and how you will going to treat if it's related to companies. So you have to keep this in mind. Here students, here we are done with this interest. Then after, students, the next concept is the dividend. Now dividend, it is very simple. Dividend, everyone knows that under the company's corporation tax computation, the dividend income is totally exempted. And as we have learned in the trading profits, students, dividend expenditure or dividend paid to the shareholder is not an allowable expenditure. So I hope you are getting this point. Then after, students, the next income is the property income. Now property income, students, we have already learned in the income tax. So HMRC is saying that you have to apply all the kinds of the rules that you have studied in the income tax over here in the case of the companies also, but with certain differences. Now let's see what are those certain differences. The first and foremost important difference is, students, nothing but once again the companies cannot have the cash basis while calculating the property income. Property income will compulsorily be calculated according to the accrual basis. Here, students, we have to calculate the property income according to the accounting year and not on the basis of the tax year or financial year. So, students, in the income tax, we used to apply the tax year while calculating property income. But over here, we have to see what exactly is our accounting year. How we are preparing our trading profit. According to that, we will calculate our property income. Okay. Then after, one more important thing is that any interest on loan to buy the property is treated under students non-trade interest expense and will not be considered under the property income. So basically you can say that if you are a company, if you are paying any interest, if you are paying any finance cost for property, then you cannot get the deduction from property income. Okay, don't worry, you will get the deduction, but under those separate deduction you can get under the non-trade interest expense. Okay, so students, this one is the important one. Okay, then after, students, here we have one benefit also, that property loss of the company can be set off against other profits also. It can be set off against trading profit, it can be set off against CGT, any other profits you can claim, and it's a benefit, students. Okay, in the case of individual it was not like that. In the case of individual, the property losses can be set off against property income only. Then after, students, the last difference is that companies cannot have a renter room relief or a benefit of any FHL concept. Okay. Then after, students, the last income of the whole corporation tax, this particular chapter, is that capital gain. What will happen if your company is having the capital gain? Here, students, the pro forma for capital gain is almost a similar one, but there is only one difference, and that is the indexation allowance. Students, you can see in the screen that there is a one deduction, additional deduction you can see, which is the indexation allowance. Now, students, what does it mean by indexation allowance? It's nothing but a kind of relief given to give effect of the inflation. And this indexation allowance for assets is only available any kind of the assets acquired prior to December 2017. If you have acquired any asset before December 2017, then and then only you can claim indexation allowance. After that, the whole concept was abolished. Then after, no one can get the indexation allowance. But over here, students, the date is the acquisition date. That means the purchase date is important. You should have purchased your asset before December 2017. Students, then after, we can calculate the indexation allowance by multiplying the cost of asset and the multiply it with the factor of indexation, or you can say indexation factor. Now indexation factor will be there in the examination, but you should know how to choose your indexation factor, because in the examination they may give you multiple indexation factor just to confuse you. Now you have to keep in mind that indexation factor should be chosen from the month of purchase of the asset to the month of disposal, or December 2017, whichever is earlier, because the deadline is December 2017. So let's say suppose you have purchased your asset in the year of 2010 and you have sold it in the year of 2020. But you cannot claim the indexation for the whole 10 years because the deadline is December 2017. So you have to choose the indexation factor which is given from 2010, that is the purchase of asset, to the December 2017. Okay, so I hope you are getting this point, but still if you are having any query, feel free to ask. And another thing, students, is that indexation allowance is calculated separately for each item of expenditure. So if you are having any kind of another capital improvement made during the ownership period, you have to calculate your indexation allowance separately for that. Okay. And the most important thing is that indexation allowance cannot create or it cannot increase the losses. Okay. Then after, the next topic is the rollover relief, students. The companies can only claim only one relief, and that is ROR, rollover relief. The rollover relief works for the company, students, the same way, but with the only one difference, and that is the goodwill is not the qualifying asset for the company, and relief will be applied after deducting the indexation allowance. Okay. Then after, students, the next topic is the annual exempt amount, AEA. The companies cannot have the AEA, they cannot claim the deduction of the AEA. And the last topic is, students, share pool. You may have learned the share pool and the matching rules in the CGT chapter. In the companies also the same concept will be applied, but with a minor changes in the matching rules. Students, you can see on the screen that the point 1 is the same, like you have to check whether you have made any acquisition, any purchases in the same day. Last point is also similar. It is from the share pool, but the second point, the middle point, is the different. In the normal CGT, in the individual CGT, we used to check the purchases in the following 30 days, but over here, students, we have to check that the acquisitions made in last 9 days on the FIFO basis. So there are minor differences in the matching rules, students, that you have to keep in mind. Okay, so basically, students, here we are done with this video, and here we are done with this whole chapter. If you are having any query, feel free to ask, and please subscribe to the video if you are liking this whole concept. Thank you guys. See you. Bye.